I love Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, but besides being a funny holiday movie, I want to talk today about its anti-consumerist message. For that matter, we're going to discuss two other holiday classics with similar anti-consumerist or anti-capitalist messages that prove that the holiday spirit is more about the power of people and human connections than it is about profits. Hey, I'm Mike. I studied film, I work in TV, and if you love movies as much as I do, hit that subscribe button and get notified when new content is posted. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was written and directed by John Hughes and stars Steve Martin and John Candy in what can only be described as the best roles of their careers. That is not hyperbole. Both superstar comedians simultaneously delivering equally funny and dramatic roles. It's about two random strangers, total opposites, who meet on their disastrous trip home and along the way become friends. It's heartwarming and funny and is secretly delivering an anti-consumerist message. Don't believe me? Throughout the entire film, it is proven over and over again that wealth and material possessions cannot solve their problem. Nor can it solve fundamental human problems like the need to feel connected, to feel empathy. In Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, money can't return a man to his family. Or, in Del Griffith's case, it certainly can't return a family to a man. But let's start at the beginning. We meet Neil, an advertising exec from Chicago, pitching an ad campaign to a finicky client in New York. Neil's job is literally to sell things to people. Del Griffith is also a salesman. His stock in trade? Shower curtain rings.
You a shower curtain fella?
Neil's problems begin when his privilege, his money, can't get him into the first-class seat that he purchased, and so he has to sit and coach on his flight back to Chicago. Heaven forbid. His wealth had previously been used to insulate him from other people, but it doesn't work here, and that's when he meets Del. Throughout Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Neil is unable to use his financial privilege. He has to travel like the rest of us civvies, riding in buses, staying in Fleabag hotels, pooling his money to afford food. All along the way, we get that Neil is a fish out of water. He's not used to this class of travel. Del, of course, is right at home. In fact, traveling without money seems to be his specialty. It's the lack of money that connects Neil and Del. In fact, one of the plot points is that Del accidentally ends up with Neil's credit card. For a brief moment, Del has access to a financial stream and he rents the car that eventually catches on fire. That's the Planes, Trains, and Automobiles universe punishing the guys for trying to use money to get home. Over and over again, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles shows us that spending money is not going to get them where they want to go. But friendship, companionship, human connection might. The guys put their heads together and finally make it. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is telling us that we don't need money to enjoy the holidays. We need each other. That's why it will forever be the movie that kicks off the holiday season for me, despite what Mariah Carey says. But anti-consumerism is far from a foreign concept when it comes to holiday movies. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, Miracle on 34th Street. Yes, John Hughes did a remake of Miracle on 34th Street, but we're going to talk about the original 1947 Miracle on 34th Street because that's a lot of John Hughes for one day, don't you think? In the Miracle on 34th Street, we meet Virginia, a straight-shooting, call-it-like-she-sees-it little girl and her single mom. In 1947? Scandal! Virginia doesn't believe in Santa Claus, probably because her mother works at Macy's and it's her job to hire the man that plays Santa. When Macy's accidentally hires the real Santa Claus, Kris Kringle, to play their department store Santa, it's up to Kris to get Virginia to believe in him. It's a beautiful story. So, Miracle on 34th Street? Anti-consumerist? You bet. Screenwriter George Seaton is on record as saying that it was his frustration in the consumerism that surrounded the holidays that prompted him to write Miracle on 34th Street in the first place. First of all, the film is set in a large department store during the holidays. Kris Kringle is initially fired from his Santa gig for telling customers that they can find better deals at other stores. There's a scene between Kris and a young janitor, Alfred, where Kris discusses his frustration with how commercial the holiday season has become.
That's what I've been fighting against for years, the way they commercialize Christmas.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad isms floating around this world, but one of the worst is commercialism. Make a buck, make a buck. Even in Brooklyn, it's the same. Don't care what Christmas stands for. Just make a buck, make a buck.
But after they fire Kris, it turns out that sending shoppers to other stores is a huge hit with the customers who applaud Macy's for their new mantra of putting the holiday spirit over profits. In typical capitalist fashion, Macy's uses this as an ad campaign and tries to hire Kris back. But Macy's HR department thinks he's crazy for thinking that he's actually Santa Claus. Kris has to prove to Macy's and Virginia and the rest of the world that he is the Santa Claus. Oh, and what does Virginia actually want for Christmas? Do you remember? No, it's not a toy. She wants a family. I mean, she says a house, but what she really wants is a family. Miracle on 34th Street's anti-consumerist message has been there all along. We don't need stuff. We need each other. On to our third holiday film with an embedded theme that you might not expect. This one's a little less anti-consumerism and a little more anti-capitalist. It's a Wonderful Life is actually a critique of capitalism, or predatory lending. It's a Wonderful Life is about George Bailey, who owns and operates the building and loan company. It's a family business that loans money to the locals so they can buy a house or a farm. Sure, it's run as a for-profit organization, but George is community-minded and wants the people of Bedford Falls to own their own houses. George has a soft spot for people and lends them money knowing they might not be able to pay it back. So, he's not the best capitalist. His antagonist, Henry F. Potter, is a capitalist. He makes it his mission to own all of Bedford Falls and rent his properties back to the residents. If the building and loan goes under, Potter will swoop in and buy up all the properties for pennies on the dollar. He's heartless and focused solely on profit. The film isn't capitalism versus socialism, strictly speaking. It's more of a critique on predatory banking practices, keeping people in what is known as the iron cage. The iron cage was a term coined by sociologist Max Weber and highlights economic systems that can entrap people and keep them in debt. George Bailey finds himself in a financial iron cage and is driven to attempt suicide when there's a run on his bank and his uncle misplaces $3,000. That was a lot of money back in those days. That's when he meets his guardian angel, who shows him a version of Bedford Falls without George Bailey. Pottersville. Pottersville is where vice and corruption run rampant. Ultimately, the community comes together to help Bailey keep the building and loan and prevent Potter from owning the entire town. It's a Wonderful Life delivers a cautionary message about capitalism and the need to temper capitalist tendencies in favor of socially responsible programs and mutual aid. The 1947 version of Shop Local, I suppose. In fact, in the post-World War II Red Scare, It's a Wonderful Life was actually investigated by the FBI for containing communist propaganda. That's a little much. Anyway, I hope when you watch these 3 films this holiday season, and you will watch these 3 films this season, right? You look at them with a slightly different eye. I'd love to read your thoughts on Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Miracle on 34th Street, and It's a Wonderful Life in the comments below. As always, film is about community. I'm Mike, and I love movies.